Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Hi, how are you? How have you been? How is it going? I have not been doing good. If I'm gonna be honest with you, you guys have probably noticed I haven't been on social media this week, and it's because I felt like literal garbage. I had the worst fever I've ever had of my life. Mass headaches, body chills. It was terrible. And I'm not going to say that I had COVID right now because I'm still waiting for my results. So I'll make sure to fill you guys in and let you know if that was the case. But right now, as I'm filming this, my headache has finally gone away and I am back on the badass trajectory. So if that is any kind of update for how this week has been, I hope that your week has been a million times better. So, what are we talking about today? Today we are getting into how I build my contracts in Notion and utilize Chili Pepper to capture client data in the kind of signing process, if you will. But before we get into today's video, you already know what I'm gonna say. Smash that like button down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, do that too. I don't know why you haven't. We talk about Notion here. We talk about being badass designers on my channel. And of course, all of the business things that are in between those. So if you love this content, make sure to hit subscribe so we can connect on an even better level. Okay, so before we dive into the exact build side, what I want to talk about is why I moved my contracts over to Notion. Now, before, let's say actually the last 2 years of my business, I actually spent a lot of time utilizing and feeling so frustrated using DocuSign. Now, I didn't really know about the other softwares that were available that were in competition to DocuSign, but when I really started hitting my limit with that platform, which I should say there's nothing wrong with DocuSign at all. My issue is that within my business, I tend to onboard a lot of clients at one time and then spread those projects out. So if we really want to look at kind of a quarterly, annual time frame, I do a lot of onboarding at the beginning of every quarter and then not so much the other 2 months. And with DocuSign, you are only allowed to have 5 contracts a month, but they don't really have an option to allow you to kind of bring on more contracts if need be. And so that kind of seemed to be the reoccurring theme with a lot of the platforms that had fairly simple UX design. And I really didn't want to be paying more than what I had paid for DocuSign. And so I started playing with this idea of, well, why do I need such a custom contract for my clients? Why can't I just make one contract and they can get away with signing it? So the first step in this kind of prep work to what you guys are going to see here in a second is really taking a look at my contract. And I looked and said, well, this doesn't need to be custom for these clients. This doesn't need to be custom. What I needed were more broad contracts based on the service that I offer. And so now I have a contract for web design clients, I have contracts for brand design clients, and then I have my contract for my custom Notion build out clients. And from there, it really allows me to pull in the direct information that that specific client needs and kind of clump them all together. Whereas before, especially in DocuSign, I was really honestly writing the contract every single time because I had set up my original contracts to be so specific to the client. And so the other step to that is I also incorporated that my clients sign off on their project proposal. And so this allows my contracts now to just reference back to that signature that they gave me on the proposal and just say, for the exact project scope, you've already signed off on the SOW, it is linked here. And I just pop that into the contract and link it there. Or if it's a really simple project scope, I'll just simply copy and paste the scope of work right into the contract. So it really takes away all of this customization that I thought I had to be doing, and I really don't. So the next step to that, really figuring out, will Notion work for me? What I needed to be able to do is obviously capture signatures and the timestamp of when the contract was signed. So you'll see here in a little bit with the Build With Me kind of walk through is that I am using Chili Pepper for my contract signature forms, and then my client is basically typing their business name, typing, yes, I agree to this, putting the date. And then how I have the table set up to capture those inquiries is it automatically has the column for a created timestamp that you cannot change. I cannot change it. My clients cannot change it. So that way we have a paper trail, if you will, a digital paper trail of when that contract was signed and dated, right? So that is that. Are we ready to get into it? If you have any questions about how to incorporate this, how to really use it in your business, feel free to leave those comments down below. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so now we are going to get into building a contract. So I'm just going to go ahead and use our space from today, start a new line. So if you are new to Notion, I'm going to walk you kind of through how you add features to your Notion account. So anywhere that you click in this workspace, it's going to prompt you to type a / for your command, and then you can find what you need. So how we might want to start this contract agreement, maybe we want to just have a simple, we'll say, insert welcome message, and who to email if you have questions, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and bold this, underline it. Okay, so next what we want to do is add some sections. So we'll / toggle. Toggles are your drop-down list that you can add in. So we can type section 1, project scope, right? So this would be, let's say, multi-page Squarespace website. And we'll say desktop and mobile friendly. So we'll just keep that as our simple. Probably help if I spelled right too. Okay. And then maybe we want to do SEO development, branding, imagery, and copy added, right? So whatever your scope is, so we'll leave that like that. And let's just do a second section just for shits and giggles. So we'll do section 2, and we will say project communication. And then we'll go ahead and say all client work is expected to be communicated via the client's Notion Notion workspace. Clients must respond to all messages, comments, and notes within 72 business hour, we'll say 72 hours of receiving to maintain the project timeline. So for instance, in my business, I give clients everything by Friday, or I should say Thursday at 5 p.m., and they are required to give me everything back by Monday at 5 p.m. So you could say 48 business hours, however, 72 hours, whatever you want to say. And then let's say all project meetings will be hosted in the client's meeting room via Mixly. And if you didn't know, we are currently in a Mixly virtual venue. This is another company that I've gotten really close with, and I'm really proud to be a partner of. Mixly basically is your Zoom competitor. So you can create events in there. You can also have these meeting spaces. So I have a dedicated room for client meetings, which is embedded into Notion for them to basically click in and become part of the meeting. And then we have this room, which is for the Strategic Hustlers Club. So we should also say no phone calls will be accepted meetings, additional meetings by appointment only. Okay, so let's just say this is our contract. These are 2 little sections, and now we want to create our signature form. So the first thing that we need to do is create a table. So we want a / table. And this would be an inline. My contract signatures are standalone pages or standalone tables because I have this obviously as a template, and we need to make sure that we, aren't creating so many tables every time. We just have one that's linked. So for this instance, we want to go ahead and create an inline table here, and we'll just say build with me contracts. But if you were to create a standalone table, how you would do that is / linked database, and then you would select your contract signatures database from that list that pops up. So what do we need in our contract? So first we need the business name. So let's change name to business name, because what we want to do is just easily find the client. We don't want to go by contact name. So it's just easier for someone to type their business name out. That's what's associated with this project, and filter this table later on from that. So the next thing is agreement. So this is where they're going to type yes, that they agree. And then we want today's date. So we could just keep all of these as plain text entries, but what you could do is, if you wanted to, you could come to the property type and select date. Because Chili Pepper is in beta, sometimes these special properties will and will not work. So that's why I'm saying just leave them as text for now, and then as Chili Pepper expands, you can change these and use these. Drop downs are great. You can do multi-select or select. Email works great, but the date feature sometimes just bugs out. So we have our contract table. So what we're going to do is head to Chili Pepper, and I'm going to treat this as if I was creating a new account right now. So this specifically in Chili Pepper, when you are creating your form, we really want to make sure that you're setting this up the right way. So during this build today, I want to show you exactly how to do so. So we want to go ahead and click sign up if you haven't, and we're going to add an email. So we have, actually, I think that's my current email. So let's go ahead and do community@99. We'll go ahead and click continue. And of course, it's going to have me accept in email. So let me go ahead on my second screen and pull that up just in case I don't know what emails I have in that account. So if you haven't done this at this point, please create your Chili Pepper account. And I will get in here in 1 second. Also going to have a swig of water real quick. Okay, so what we want to do is accept our account. Sorry guys, my internet is just really going slow right now. I think I just have too many things popped up. I have so many tabs open. Okay, so we want to go ahead and sign into Chili Pepper. We'll bring this new form over here. And what it's going to do is prompt you to link your, oh, why did it pull up my other ones? Oh, I think that's because that's what my actual, okay. So what we want to do, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through this. So as you're accepting your Chili Pepper account, it's basically going to pull up your settings and have you link your Notion account. So as you'll see, I have Notion here. And if we were to add a new account, what we want to do is find our Notion token. So if you are not familiar with API keys, definitely click the Need Help button. They have a great walkthrough on how to do that. It's also in Notion, so you could save the page if you need to. But what we want to do is head to our Notion account. So we want to open this up, and then we're going to go to View, in our toolbar, go to developer and go to developer tools. And this is really going to pull up your like inspection key, and it's auto going to populate to your cookies page. So you'll notice that we need to go. Why am I not seeing token here? Oh, here we go. We just had to scroll. So you'll notice token version 2 is here. So what we want to do is then select token 2, right click copy. Okay. Sometimes I forget how you do this. So right click and nope. So this is why we love, oh, there it is. I had it closed. Okay, so this value, this is going to be your token ID. So you can either right click there or just double click in and copy it. And then you're going to go back to your chili pepper form and paste it in there. So we'll go ahead and click save. And then your Notion account will populate. So if your token ever changed, let's say you change your Notion account, you switch it over, you just have to update that. So the next thing is your notifications. So email about form submissions, email about chili pepper updates. These should be auto-selected for you. But your actual submission new entries are not an automatic notification. So I'm going to show you exactly how you turn those on while we create a form. So what we want to do is come to our forms, and these are forms that I have obviously created. One thing that is coming down the pipeline on chili pepper is the ability to name your forms. So you can actually do that right now. They're all named after fun little peppers. So what I have in Notion is just a simple table that lists out the name of the form and then what the actual form is, so I can just quickly reference instead of trying to like scroll through here and see what we're doing. So your forms will probably be blank. So what we want to do is go ahead and click new form. And this is your form editor. So it's very cut and paste, clean, clear. You just edit exactly what we just did in that contact table or contract table. So your field name is what you are going to have. Let me close the developer tools out. What you're going to put in those field names are exactly what you named these columns. So you can copy in here, copy the title, and override it. And helper text is what your clients see. So helper text, so what is your email? So we want to say, what is your business name? And then the default text, we could say Slim Shady Records. And then the field type, we just want to make sure that it is a text box, and we want to make sure that it's required so your client knows that they have to fill this out. And then we'll just go ahead and click new field. The next one is our agreement field. And we'll say our helper text is, do you agree to this contract? And then default text would say type yes here. So you'll notice that as we're editing this, it is live editing the form here at the bottom that your clients will see. So we just said, do you agree to this contract? Type yes. And then lastly, we need to change that field type to text. Oop, I think I selected the email again. To text, make it required. And then the last thing we need to do is date. So today's date, we'll copy and paste that. And we'll say, please enter today's date. And we will say 01/01/2000. Okay, so the next thing that you have is your button text. So you can customize this button to say submit or project kickoff or I agree. Excuse me. You can really change this to whatever you want. So we could say I agree, and you'll notice it changes. I just usually keep submit, short, sweet, to the point. And then the next thing you can do is change the button color. So if you want your buttons to be more on brand, you can do so. So if you want to change it to red or blue or orange, most of my buttons are orange. That's kind of a complementary color to 99. So we'll just make this one orange. So that's it. The one thing that I do want to mention about chili pepper forms, if you are new to this space, is currently, again, beta, you can only have 6 entry fields in your form. So when you're creating these, you really want to be intentional about the data that you are collecting and when and how you're collecting that data. So just keep that in mind. You can only do 6 for now, but they are rolling out they're upping it to 10 on the free plan. And then when Chili Pepper rolls out their monthly subscription option, there's always going to be a free plan, but if you want to be on the paid plan, it's going to be unlimited fields. So eventually, you can put your questionnaire into Chili Pepper. You can, do a lot more onboarding in-depth forms if you need to. So for now, I'm just using Google Forms for everything that has more than 6 questions. But my client application, everything is done via Chili Pepper. So we want to go ahead and click Next, and then it's going to prompt you about where to send form responses. So we want to click Connect to Notion, obviously. It'll let you know, hey, we're still in beta. Awesome, get started. So first you're going to click Connect to your Notion account. So we'll connect to our Notion account, and then it's going to ask you for the table page URL. So this is so it specifically dumps in all of the responses to the table that you want. So how we get that page URL is we'll go back to our Build With Us page, and in the 3 dots on your table, right next to the big blue New button, you will click Copy Link. And then we will simply paste that into our form. And then you want to click the Save button. And then you'll notice that it automatically maps the fields that are within that table. And so now what we have to do is just connect the fields to each of the Notion properties that we created. So on today's date, we want to click today's date. On agreement, business name. And then we'll go ahead and click Confirm. And so now Notion is connected. Now the next thing that we want to do, depending on how you want to be notified that a client has completed their forms, is connecting Send to Email. So I traditionally don't do this for contracts, but things that I do get notified on is when I have a new application or inquiry in my business and when a client has signed their proposal. So why I don't do it on contracts is because on the onboarding space of my client work, my business, there's a multitude of things that my clients have to do. And so them signing the contract is really the first thing that they do within that onboarding and paying their project fees. And so if I get notified then, that doesn't mean that they've done everything in the onboarding. So that's why I have an onboarding due date, and I don't really check that they've done anything until that due date, unless they have questions and they need to talk about something. But this is a form that I don't usually notify myself on. But how you would do it is simply click email address and then add in your email address. So if we wanted to be notified, we would say 99 St. Clair. And then you just click out of that, and then you want to go ahead and click Next. And you'll notice who we're signed in as and the plan. So you can't currently click on paid plan. It is coming soon. I believe it's coming at the end of April or May. It's like late spring that they're dropping the paid plan. So it's going to auto to the free plan that you have. Again, no pressure to upgrade, but it is coming with more features. So the next thing is create a form. We'll click that button, and then it's going to pop up that their form embed URL has been added and it's ready for you to then install into Notion. So one thing that I do want to mention is that you can't install Chili Pepper forms anywhere but in Notion. So your client application has to be on a Notion page, and then you have that page linked on your website, right, via a button. So you can't embed these anywhere else but Notion. So keep that in mind. Don't frustrate yourself if you're trying to figure that out. It has to stay in Notion. So we want to go ahead and click copy link. And I will say the other thing is when you do create a form, Notion will email you that your form is ready. You can turn that off in your settings if it's annoying to you. So we'll go back to our contract page. And in the empty space, we will again do / and we want to type embed. Now, this embed feature is not for JavaScript. It is not for HTML code. It is for embeddable URLs. So keep that in mind. If you want to do any Java or HTML, you have to go through CodePen. And then you would embed CodePen to your Notion page. So just keep that in mind. And then it's just going to prompt you to paste the embeddable link. And once it loads, your form is ready. Now you can edit this block to fit, more left aligned if we wanted to justify it, etc. That is how you do it. So then the last thing what we want to do is just test our form. So I'll go ahead and make sure that sharing is on. So that's the other thing, your pages need to make sure, especially any templates that you have that are client facing, make sure that the toggle for share to web is turned on. You can decide if you want to allow editing or comments, but on pages like this, I don't allow clients to have editing features. I don't allow them to comment on the page, and also no search engine indexing, right? So we want to go ahead and copy the link. I'll open a new incognito window. And we will, once it loads, so now you'll notice that it has the title of our page up here, but because it has no features, people cannot link back into your Notion. This is not clickable for people to pop into your Notion, just as well as you'll notice that the duplication button is gone. So if someone clicks Notion, it takes them to the main page of Notion to create an account, and search only searches this exact page. So what that looks like, so if we're scrolling through, I'm the client from the client-facing side. Oh, I see this is the client contract. Here are the sections. So they can still click on the toggles and read through. So if you are kind of migrating your clients over to Notion, one tip that I have is to just have a little like italicized blurb that says, hey, if you're new to Notion, click the sideways triangles to open up this, to expand the space to see more on the topic, right? So just kind of doing a little maneuvering of how to get them to use Notion. So they can still click on those, but as you can see, we're clicking in here and no editing happens. But because this form is embedded, they can fill out the form, which is really cool. So we'll go ahead and type our business name. We'll say Onyx Coffee. If you guys have never had them, they are fantastic. They are out of Arkansas, and they're a roaster. They're a coffee science lab is what they call themselves. So definitely check them out. And today's date is 03/09. I don't think it has to follow this form, but anyway, so now we want to go ahead and click submit. And once it loads, sometimes it takes a little bit. Thank you will follow up soon. And you'll notice that it automatically showed up at the bottom. Now, when you are creating tables, Notion automatically gives you 3 rows of data, so you go ahead and delete those. You also are not required to keep this contract table on the actual contract page. So if you don't want to deal with filtering this out by client, you can put this table either on another page or start a table that is distinctly a table, not necessarily a page. That's just a table in Notion. And that way you can kind of see. But what I've learned over the time is that clients like to see that they did sign it, which is why I taught you guys how to do what I did today. And I hope you enjoyed this build with me. I'm super excited to do more of these Notion build outs. So if there's anything too that you would like to see me build, let me know. I am more than happy to walk you guys through.